What's going on, you guys? It's Randy with Full Throttle Obsessions. Today we're going to be doing a review on my Overland Mega Hurk 36-volt electric dolly. I've had this dolly for about 2 months and we definitely put this thing to use, and we got a pretty good idea of the pros and the cons, which we'll be covering in this video. And I'll be going over my likes and dislikes of this particular dolly. I do have another Granite Industries dolly, which is this manual yellow one right here, which actually is a good dolly as well. And also the one I started with, which is this farm dolly from Tractor Supply. And I'll kind of be doing a little comparison of the three. Not really comparison, but goes along with my likes and dislikes of this electric dolly. But let's go ahead and get to it. So the first pro of the Mega Hurk is the width. You can see how it's got a really wide base here, which handles our bigger water slides, cradles them with ease, less prone to kind of want to roll off the side of the dolly, especially if they're waterlogged or not rolled as good as they should be. And also, we'll go around the back here, is the width of the axle. It's just wide enough where the dolly, don't always want to tip over on surfaces that aren't so level. For a little comparison on the dolly I started with, this farm truck dolly, or this farm dolly, the dolly itself is fairly wide on the base part that holds the slide, but the axle is real narrow, so whenever we kind of get on the unlevel surface, especially with the heavier slide, the dolly would want to tip, which we do not see that with the Mega Hurk, and plus you wouldn't want this dolly tipping over because it's quite heavy. Another pro to the Mega Hurk is the kickstand. It definitely comes in handy when you got a heavy slide, and it takes 2 people when it's rolled to pick it up on the dolly, or if you're trying to do it yourself, you put the kickstand down. That way the dolly won't want to go backwards on you, because the dolly is angled, so if it's on any kind of incline, it wants to fall back, which isn't ideal. And I'm not going to lie, so we'll kind of show you how it goes up on a magnet right here. You kind of see how it wants to fall back. Now, I'm not going to lie, it probably took me a week or 2 to realize that this was on a pretty strong magnet. Because at first glance, for whatever reason, I thought it was bolted back here, which I wouldn't have been such a good design, but it's got a really strong magnet, which makes it nice. So when you need it, you just pull it down and lock it in. Another pro is this foot rest right here. That way when you need some leverage and you need to get some momentum to get the bouncer back, stick your foot right here, grab the handles and just kind of swing it back. Makes it quite easy to get these heavy water slides back on 4 wheels. Another pro is the electric brake, which is a major factor on trying to get these heavy slides back. I have been able to get one of our heavier slides, which is about a 700-pound unit, all the way back on 4 wheels by myself, which with the manual dolly, I was unable to do because the manual dolly kind of rolls around and don't have a stop. So it makes it very difficult on something like that. Another pro on this dolly is where the safety switch is, or power switch, whatever you want to call it. I have been in a situation where I kind of backed myself up against something. Now, I don't know if this is the reason why they had that switch right there, but when I bumped into it with my hit, it actually shut the power switch off. Ideally, you do not want to stand behind the dolly when you're going in reverse. You want to stand on the side of it, because you do not want to get pinned between the dolly and whatever you're up against. But I got to say that switch saved me at least once or twice. And nevertheless, I did learn my lesson not to stand directly behind it. Always stand on the side whenever I'm going in reverse. Another thing I really like about this dolly is the twist throttle. So it's right here, nice and comfortable. You just kind of get this variable speed, so you kind of twist it just about and it'll go just about as fast as you want to go. It'll go to a pretty fast walking pace. So that's definitely a nice feature to this dolly. Another thing I really like about the Mega Hurk is it has plenty of power. I've had some situations where the enclosure is actually kind of on a decline, which makes the ramp a lot steeper. And once you get the heavier slides on it, it walks them up nice and easy. So the power is definitely a plus. Two more things I would like to cover. This dolly is made very well. It's very sturdy, very strong. And also the tires, I was a little concerned about getting flats, but I have to say this is a pretty good tire. We got a lot of stickers in that around right now. And I haven't had an issue with actually puncturing the tires, which is a huge plus. They definitely seem to have enough grip for all the surfaces that I have went on. Hills, grass, sand. It seems to cover all the terrains very well. I have been very pleased with this dolly. That being said, it does have some cons. One of the cons is really just a personal thing. The delay when you hit the throttle took me a little bit of getting used to, and I really didn't like it at first. Now I'm used to it, so it's not such a big deal. But it does have a delay when you hit the throttle, like a second or two, and it's probably a safety thing. It's just for me a little more instant power would probably be more to my liking. Now the second con is the forward reverse switch. It just seems like more of a pain. You let off the throttle and go over here and flip the switch for forward and reverse. It's more just a personal preference, but I'd probably just rather have it in the throttle if there was a two-way switch or one on the other side for reverse. Just seems like it'd be a little more quicker. It's not a big thing. It's just if you let off the throttle and let it slow to, or stop and then hit forward, reverse, whatever, you got to switch it in. Again, it's more of a personal preference, but now that I'm used to it, it doesn't bother me as much as it did at first. Now I'll kind of go over the two things that I was very concerned about before purchasing this dolly that I gave some very serious consideration to. Is now it does have a 36 volt, 24 amp hour AGM battery. I was very concerned about how long the battery was going to last on run times when we're out in the field doing our pickups and deliveries. Now I have to say, it hasn't been an issue. It actually got some decent runtime. When I spoke to Granite before I made the purchase, they said depending on the terrain and the weight that you had on the dolly, there would be roughly about 8 hours of runtime with the dolly, which is pretty decent and pretty good. Of course, that'll vary if you're going through sand, over hills, and the weight that you have on the dolly itself. It hasn't been an issue for me yet. The lowest I got it down in a day, I think 61%. But we were running all day and pretty hard as well as heavyweight and some different types of terrain. Now the second con that it almost made me not want to purchase this particular dolly is the casters on the back. So these type of casters, the only reason why I knew there probably would be an issue is because on the yellow dolly there that I have back there has the same type of casters, and it's only roughly about a year old. But I'll go ahead and show you guys. So let me straighten this out here. It has lost a couple of the bearings. The ball bearings in there came out. Well, let's see if we can get in there. You can't really see it on camera, but it's definitely missing some of the ball bearings in there. Now, I do believe the other style caster wheels that would definitely last longer than these will, just because that dolly is only roughly about a year old, and it already is kind of missing some of those bearings, and they're kind of sloppy, to be honest. But nevertheless, these are fine. If we got to replace the casters a little sooner, that's fine, because the dolly itself is a very good quality dolly. And overall, I'm very pleased with it. And lastly, we did have one issue within the 2 months that we had the dolly. The charger that it came with, it really seemed like it had an issue early on. It was just noisy, made a lot of noise, like fan noises and all that. And one day we got back on, it was a Saturday, went to plug it in to run it on for Sunday, and the charger just, nothing. We didn't get no light, no fan, no nothing. So we ended up running it Sunday without charging it overnight. First thing Monday morning, we called Granite Industries. They took care of it right away. I let them know that I did kind of need it for the following weekend coming up. And they definitely assured me, told me that they would definitely get it to me by Friday. They got it sent out and it actually got delivered to my house on Thursday, which worked out perfect because we had a busy weekend that coming weekend. Because trust me, once you go to Electric Dolly, you do not want to go back to a manual dolly. And that was one of my fears when I got the Electric Dolly. But ever since then, we haven't had any other issues, and the dolly has been doing great. Give you guys a little side-by-side comparison of the Mega Mover and the Mega Hurk. Overall, they're both good dollies. I know this was a video on the Mega Hurk. Overall, both these dollies are made right here in the USA and are very good quality dollies. I would say you probably couldn't go wrong with either one of these. But I hope you guys liked the video, and as always, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.